I built my racing sim about 2 years ago, but barely used it. Not because I didn't love racing, but because, well, using it became an entire workout. Now, I didn't have a lot of space in my previous studio, so I did the only thing that made sense at the time. I put my racing sim on wheels. So whenever I wanted to race, I would wheel the entire sim rig to my gaming setup, lower my desk, plug and connect all my cables, just so that I could use my monitor and PC. Then when I was done, I would pack everything up and then also wheel the racing sim out again. And over time, that inconvenience became the main reason why I stopped racing as much. So now that I've moved into a new studio and finally have a dedicated corner for the sim rig, I'm fixing this properly by building a dedicated mini-ITX sim PC that will live right next to the rig. Starting with the case, this PC is definitely different and unlike anything I've built before. It is a liquid-cooled open chassis mini-ITX build in the X Proto L V2 case. The vertical design showcases all your hardware while pulling in fresh air, and I love the tiny footprint, which means I can actually fit this anywhere. This PC is definitely high-end, but not brutally overkill. And honestly, with the current situation regarding PC components, a build like this in 2026 is quite expensive. Just the cost of RAM sticks alone is insane. But racing games tend to target really high frame rates and are also quite CPU intensive, so I decided to go with the AMD Ryzen 7800X3D. Honestly, my first choice would have been the 9800X3D, but seeing as I already had two 7800X3Ds, I figured I might as well use one, save some cost, and then keep the 9800X3D for another build that I'm working on, which I'll share soon. Now, to cool the CPU, I got two AIO coolers I've been looking to try out: the Deepcool Mystique 240 and NZXT's new Elite 360 Liquid AIO. I ended up using the 360 Liquid AIO cooler instead, and I know that it's a little overkill for the Ryzen 7800X3D, considering that, well, it doesn't need that much cooling power. I just wanted to make sure that the AIO I chose can handle any CPU in case I decide to upgrade to something else in the future. Also, this will definitely keep the CPU temps decent while running really quiet. For the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte B650i Aorus Ultra. And while there are some things I like about this motherboard, like the shield behind the motherboard that protects all of the exposed pins, I instantly regretted this choice after completing the build. Because for some reason, this motherboard would not post anything. It wouldn't boot into the BIOS even after updating the BIOS using the Q flash button at the back of the motherboard. I spent days trying to get this to work and even rebuilt the entire PC twice just to make sure that all the components are working. I tested everything, including the riser cable, and still just didn't work. So I eventually swapped this motherboard to the Asus ROG Strix B650EI motherboard instead. But bear with me because I already filmed the entire build process using the Gigabyte board. That's why that's what you're seeing on the screen. The GPU I chose for this build is the RTX 4090 Founders Edition. I contemplated going with a 5080 card for this build, but because I want to push the maximum frames that I can with the monitor that I have and would potentially try sim racing in VR, I wanted this card to be able to handle anything I throw at it. Plus, it looks really clean in this case. So let's go ahead and put everything together. Personally, I'm so satisfied with what the final build looks like. This black and silver aesthetic with the mirror details just makes it look really premium and high quality. Something I want to mention is these fans are actually RGB fans, but I decided not to use the RGB just because I feel like this is a much cleaner aesthetic and I think this suits the look of the case. But then this is where this PC absolutely blew my mind. In ACC, this is what the CPU and GPU temps look like while running completely silent. It never really peaked above anything I should have been worried about. I just love that the sim rig now has its dedicated space in the studio, and I have been spending an insane amount of time here. So much that I already feel like there are some things that I would need to improve over time. I love this monitor. It is the Asus ROG Strix XG32 UCWMG. It's a 32-inch true black glossy WOLED monitor, and I know that 32 inches isn't the standard display for the burst immersion when it comes to sim racing, but I may upgrade this in the future, but for now, it definitely works. At the moment, I have it rigged up with this Asus monitor arm, only because I couldn't get the standard monitor mount for the GT Elite rig. Hopefully that gets in stock anytime soon, and I will definitely be changing from the arm to that. While I'm no sim racing expert, and in fact a total noob who really just put together this sim rig out of curiosity, I feel like I'm way over my head into this. I'm genuinely enjoying my experience, and with more practice, I know that I'll definitely get a lot better. But I feel that there are more things that need to be done to improve the immersion. For instance, aside from the force feedback I can feel on the wheels from the wheelbase and the vibrations from the haptic pedal reactor that is attached to the brake pedal, there's nothing else happening here. No vibrations through the seat. And from what I've learned, sim racing in VR is a whole different ballgame, and I think that's what people call the peak when it comes to immersion. There is just so much to explore, and I'm definitely excited to learn more. And I think this is a good start because I am definitely going down this rabbit hole.